What's going on, leaders? It's me, guy who stayed up until 4 a.m. last night playing card games. Poor life choices. So recently, Cygames, in conjunction with Bushiroad, released a physical version of Cygames' mobile card game Shadowverse, called Shadowverse Evolved. The physical card game has had massive success within the first week of its release. People in Japan are saying this is probably the most successful card game launch within the last 20 years. And now product is actually more difficult to find than Pokemon cards, which is a barometer for success. Is pretty powerful case for the game. So during some of the Japanese presentations, they have mentioned that there may be an English release of this card game given the Japanese reception to it. And I think that there's a really strong case for that English version to actually come to fruition here. And so what I want to do in these sets of videos is go over what the game is, how it's played, what the cards are like, so that people who may be on the fence or are unsure about it, or maybe just play the Shadowverse mobile game and are interested in a physical card game, can get a bit more understanding of what it's like and yeah, hopefully become fans of it. Anyway, let's go over like the bare bones basics here by just going over in this video the types of cards within the actual game. So in Shadowverse Evolved, not all cards are actually shuffled into the deck. One such card is going to be your leader card here. Leader card simply just displays your opponent the class that you're using, so they have some semblance of what they're fighting against. For folks who aren't familiar with Shadowverse, the game has multiple classes which each specialize in a different way of playing. For example, the dragon class you see here allows you to play really big followers with strong effects. However, they take up a lot of resources. On the top left, you can see the icon for this card's class. And then what's neat is you can actually scan this card with your phone and use the Shadowverse Evolve mobile supporter app that they've created. More about that in a different video. To display and keep track of the life that you have in the game as well as your resources. And it has a nice little aesthetic of adding the leader card's artwork here to the supporter app as well. So the second card we're going to be talking about are the follower cards. Now these cards are what you would typically consider the monsters or cards that you would use to attack and defend within the game. They're really simple. You can see they've got a class. You can see on the top left like before. This one is the royal class or the sword class in English. It's got a cost associated with it, which is 1. And on the bottom you can see a bunch of information about it. So it's got the attack and defense on the left and the right, the name of the card, the kind of card it is. You see it says follower there, as well as its type, which is ninja and warrior, as well as a rarity, and it has that little black shaded box there that has either some flavor text or the card's actual effect in the game. So while followers are the cards you're going to be putting onto the board and attacking and defending with, next up the spell cards are going to be cards that you're just going to use for their effects and then discard immediately once they're used. So once again, these cards are placed into the deck alongside the followers, and some of them have special effects called quick effects, which can be used on your opponent's turn. So not all spell cards can be used on your opponent's turn, but if they have this quick icon you see on the card here, then they can be used when your opponent attacks on their turn or at the very end of their turn, provided you have the resources to play them. So the third type of card that you're going to be using in the deck alongside followers and spells are actually going to be amulet cards. So these cards, unlike spell cards that are played and discarded, will actually be played on the field and then stay on the field for some time until you want to use them or their requirements are fulfilled to be used. So these cards' effects range from passive effects that just happen throughout the game that affect your board or your opponent's board, to the more active effects that sometimes require a follow-up cost to be paid, and then, for example, resting it, or we call it in this game acting it, in order to get some follow-up effect. And so these are the 3 cards that are going to be drawn and placed into your deck, the, again, followers, spells, and amulet cards. So transferring out of the deck for a moment, we're going to be talking about a card that not everyone actually gets during the game, and that is the Evolve point. So for folks who don't know, Shadowverse's main draw is that they have an evolve mechanic within the game that you can choose to evolve followers and make them stronger and get additional effects. The Evolve points card that you see here is actually only given to the player going second as a way for them to reduce the cost of their evolves later on in the game. The way this works is that normally you have to pay an evolve cost using your resources called PP or play points. You can actually substitute the evolution point here that you see for 1 play point during a turn when you evolve. A simple example of this is that if a follower has a cost of 1 play point to evolve, you can actually just use 1 evolution point to evolve them instead and not have to spend a play point here. Keep in mind the player going first does not get access to any of these during the game. They're only given to the player going second as a way to make up for the player going first's advantage. So alongside your 40 to 50 card deck, you're going to have a 0 to 10 card evolve deck. In that deck, you can only place evolve followers, and during the game, whenever you would evolve a follower, you're going to look through your evolve deck and then place the correct evolve follower on top of the original follower. You can very quickly realize if a card is an evolve card because it has no cost in the upper left hand corner, unlike all other cards in the game, as well as on the bottom of the card you see that it has the little evolve stamp there that denotes it as an evolved follower. Keep in mind, you can only evolve once per turn and only one follower per turn unless effects say otherwise. So the last card we're going to be talking about today is actually the token card. Some followers, spells, or amulets from your deck actually allow you to summon tokens within the game, and these cards are the representation of that. These cards are actually placed in the back of your packs to stop people from quote-unquote divining the super legendary rares within the packs themselves. But they are useful in that you can use them alongside your deck to just keep track of the tokens, what they look like, what their stats are, their types, etc. Keep in mind that when these cards are destroyed, they are not placed in the graveyard, they are actually just removed from the game entirely. Alright, and so that is actually going to be it for this video. Again, I want to keep them as short and bite-sized as possible. I did go over a lot of information very quickly, so if you have any questions about anything that I talked about or anything that I didn't talk about, feel free to post them in the comments below. I'll be answering the questions there. Additionally, if you're interested in learning more about the game or you want to know more about it, again, this is the first part in a multi-part series to teach you the basics of the game for Shadowverse Evolve. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.